I think I was about 13 years old. There is a street in Covina, California, lined with palm trees and single-story homes set back from the street, whose sidewalks draw a line between the pavement and grass. On the right side of the street, there was a particular white house with blue shutters and a pool in its backyard I knew well. The kidney-shaped pool often played host to a handful of exuberant teenagers determined to get a good word from the Lord along with some tasty barbecue. Seated in lawn chairs around the edge of the pool, my friends, Stephanie, Russell, Bobby, Robin, Candace, Chris, and a few others, welcomed me as I opened the gate and walked in with cupcakes in hand. Bobby Stiles, the boy I had a crush on, kicked his legs up in a cartwheel on the wide-bladed crabgrass lawn as his rat-tail braid whipped through the air. I was in heaven, surrounded by good friends, warm air, and, of course, Jesus. That particular summer Wednesday night was like most. We learned about God and were charged with some sort of holy assignment, which often included things like going door to door to evangelize or equipping ourselves with Bible verses for the Mormons when they came to ours. But tonight ended up being a little different. After the fun, silly games, the finger-lickin', good chicken, and sentimental worship songs were done, our youth pastor, Chuck, delivered a heavy message. Heavier than usual. I don't remember much of what was said in particular, but I will never forget the feeling in my body that I walked away with that night. I can still feel it in my chest to this day, a tightness of fear, and a clenching feeling of dread and worry. I wondered if I had gotten it all wrong, and now the truth was now being delivered to me straight up cold. The lesson that night wasn't so much about our own salvation as it was about the salvation of others and, hence, the need to evangelize. But I couldn't help turning that charge inward and wondering, was I truly saved? The thoughts now running through my head, at odds with what I had always been taught, suggested that, yes, indeed, I could lose my salvation. The sinner's prayer that I had prayed when I was 5 years old, the one that had kept me eternally and lovingly secure in my relationship with Jesus, was, in fact, a lie. Instead, my continual sin, whether it be my questions about evolution, secretly listening to my Def Leppard album when my parents weren't around, skipping church to stay home and play with my neighbor Lisa, or fantasizing about kissing Bobby Stiles, was keeping me at a distance from God. By doing so, I was grieving the Holy Spirit, and the more I sinned, the angrier God got with me. One day, he was just going to get fed up, turn his face away from me, and send me to the pit of hell, forever. That is what I felt. That is what I feared. That is what I was being told. I never knew when any particular sin would be the straw that broke the camel's back, the one that would send me to burn eternally, separated from God, without food or water, and with flames on my skin, so I lived in daily fear wondering if today would be the day I would piss God off past the point of no return. It scared the hell into me, not out of me. From that day forward, I remember trying to intellectualize what I had internalized that night, to somehow distance it from my heart, but there was always this nagging feeling that, by doing so, my sinful nature was just trying to worm its way out of doing what was right. This thought process created a feedback loop that stayed with me for many, many years. It wasn't until college, when I began to deconstruct all the other flaws in this rhetoric, that I was finally able to start releasing this way of thinking. But in all honesty, it probably wasn't until a decade later that I was able to get rid of it once and for all. Well, maybe,